It is the second session after lunch, so if you started feeling sleepy, well, I hope you will wake up for this session because this is a very important leadership session for those of you who have aspirations to be leaders tomorrow in the industry. So welcome once again. I am Sudhir, founder and president of Cyber Vigilance Group. And we have three very eminent panelists here. And I will request them to introduce themselves so you know who they are. And then immediately we will start the panel discussion. Dr. Ram.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Ram Kumar. I'm part of the cybersecurity function with Volvo Group, and I'm happy to be here. Thankful to Hitesh and Divakar for this opportunity. Thanks.
Hi, this is Pragadish. I lead the cybersecurity services for a larger GCC in India.
I'm Manikant Singh. I work for a financial services company called as DMA Finance. Though the mention which is mentioned here is wrong here. So, but I work for a NBFC. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So now why this panel discussion regarding leadership? So leadership, traditionally, we take for granted, especially when you are young and, you joined the company, you kind of look up to the leadership and expect them to lead the way. And that is how it has been, not only in our professional life, but in our personal life as well. We look up to the leadership of our parents, our relatives. Leadership is the way we grow up, we learn, and we do things. Now, why we are having a panel discussion on leadership is very critical, and it's important that we understand the context. So I'm saying cybersecurity world, not the industry just, is a world which changes every millisecond. What comes new, what changes, everything affects everything else, and the leadership has to bear the brunt. Therefore, the organizers of VULNCON 2025 decided to hold a special session to identify what is going to be the future of cybersecurity leadership, and hence this panel. So I will jump right into the context. What CISOs need to be in 2025 and beyond, and what is the themes that we will be discussing here. What are the strategic shifts in cybersecurity leadership regarding talent and regarding cross-border threats and how to manage them. So roughly, this is the overview of our panel today. And I will start straight away with the first question. You have already learned a little bit about the panelists. So now, what is affecting the cybersecurity leadership and why? Again, this three important factors have affected the cybersecurity industry very significantly in the last 1-2 years. One is the advent of AI. It has changed a lot of things in cybersecurity industry. Second is the change in context as far as cybersecurity threats are concerned. Gone are the days when we used to think a hacker stays in his basement hacker or somewhere he's an uneducated school dropout, college dropout who's hacking into companies. That romantic picture, Hollywood view is gone. Today, hackers are accomplished teams working in large groups with extraordinary good technology which even your organization may not possess. So that's a new addition in the last 1-2 years, 3 years. And the third most significant factor is the entrance of state actors into hacking. This has changed a lot of things for the cybersecurity leadership. Now, in this context, the first question that comes is, and I'll open it to the panel to say, how do you define global cybersecurity leadership in 2025, and how have the expectations from CISOs role evolved? Dr. Ram, why don't you take this?
Sure. So the CISO role is evolving with times, with the change in threatscape, right? So the first thing that is changing very much is from being a technical gatekeeper to a strategic business enabler, or rather a business strategist. So first thing is the CISO role is very much embedded into the business if it has to be more impactful. So go beyond the technology domain and get into the business objectives, align the security strategy to the business goals so that you can enable the business to scale up faster. And second important shift, as I see, is the CISO has a direct line of communication and access to the board today in very progressive organizations, right? So when they have access to the board, definitely they have an opportunity to expose the risks facing the organization, clearly in terms of financial loss, in terms of operational continuity and brand reputation. So that can help the board to gain a direct understanding of the risk facing the organization, the strategic risks, and probably give solutions in terms of budgetary allocation, resources, and empowerment for the CISO, and put their weight behind security initiatives taken up by the CISO organization. The third shift is how effectively the CISO can navigate the complexity. Today in AI era, the AI-powered threats, AI-enabled threats are multifold. We are looking at adversarial AI, AI versus AI, these kind of complex threats, along with the cloud sprawl, right? The cloud sprawl, the digital transformation initiatives, supply chain attacks, it goes on and on. So in this kind of moving target where the threats keeps evolving, CISO has to be abreast of the threats and have a very agile strategy to ensure the organization is protected at all times. The fourth shift is, of course, the CISO champions the cyber resilience, right? So resilience, again, in terms of, in the face of a disruptive incident, how effective the CISO is able to withstand, respond and recover, what strategies they have, whether they have covered their bases pretty well, what is the minimum downtime they can operate, are they able to achieve RTO and RPO thresholds. So all those things come into play. If at end of the day, it is actually impacting the business efficiency, how they can offer services without any sort of disruption in terms of how resilient the business is. And finally, CISOs are cultural leaders, right? They have to embed security first culture in the business processes. And of course, the human element is central to this strategy, so that human element can be the first line of defense, kind of a firewall. And when you adopt this strong and robust security culture, it helps in ways more than we can imagine. It is not just you are dependent heavily on technology to protect, but also today's AI era, the social engineering, the earlier panel was talking so well. Social engineering is very much sophisticated. You can't detect with traditional tools. So the only way is human intellect and how people can be trained, right? So that's the way to go forward. If people are trained well, they have situational awareness and have a very robust security culture where leaders lead by example, right? And CISO can definitely be the catalyst in bringing about the change in management towards security program that can do a world of good. So across these 5 areas, I see their role is changing, and definitely it will continue evolving.
I think he has covered most of the foundational elements of the new era CISO. One thing to add in that is definitely cyber resilience plays a major role. And then since we are managing, or I'm part of a global CISO organization, cyber resilience plays a major role. However, if we see from the recent advent of AI, even the CISO role has evolved, and then it radically changed from the previous era. So right now, there are tools which were not available before AI. So for example, let's say AI powered or AI driven security is something which is new. CISO is still trying to catch up in terms of budget, in terms of implementing the security controls. Previously, CISO's role were mostly technical, and then they were creating security initiatives and programs, and then they are control masters in implementing those programs and initiatives. But right now they are playing 2-3 roles. They are wearing 2-3 different hats. One being business enabler, and then trying to enable the business functions to operate securely, and then they are also providing business the opportunity on their growth journey. So basically CISOs are enabling the growth journey by adapting AI faster or any emerging technology faster than ever before. So it has changed radically when we see for past 5 years. So it's a massive difference.
Just a disclaimer, whatever I'm sharing here is a personal, nothing to do with my current company or my earlier company, wherever I worked with. Evolving of CISO is very simple. I would like to take it very brief. Earlier, CISO was representing something as a VAPT engineer. Whatever VAPT has to be done, give it to CISO, he will get it done. Once it clears, he signs it, it's okay, done. Now today is not a scenario like that. Earlier, BCP server was to be tested in US, just come to India, the Indian CISO says it is tested, it is done. Today, it's not like that. As they clearly said, more of resiliency. Today, the CISO's role is turning to the level of most highest level of maintaining the risk of an organization, because the cyber risk is one of the prominent one which is to be handled by an organization. So the CISO role, while it is look more of a techno-functional, it is looking at the highest level of risk for an organization. So the evolvement has moved from vulnerability assessment towards the highest level of a risk to an organization.
Thank you. I think those views were quite diverse and detailed. I have a question, continuing question based on what you told me. There's a new facet that the CISOs have started. In fact, there's currently only one instance of it happening, where organizations and the CISO have been held accountable for a breach. And I refer to the SEC's case against SolarWinds and their CISO at that time, And that's the world's first incident where an organization is being sued for having let the breach happen. Whether it was in their control or not is something that the courts will decide. But I suspect that going forward, CISOs will also have to put on this quasi-legal hat somewhere and make sure they have the due diligence work that they already do, but it is not seen by the organization, is duly recorded. Because in case there is a legal requirement sometime during the line, their organization can prove their good-natured, goodwill, due diligence was in place. Because see, people can still hack you for a variety of different reasons. But if you are able to showcase your good effort that you already made in good faith, then I suspect, courts will let you go. So I suspect that future CISOs will also have to keep that knowledge with them, that they need to be accountable at some point in time. It could happen. Do you agree, Dr. Ram?
Yeah, of course. Today's CISO's role is much more under scrutiny. In fact, in advanced economies, especially in the US, CISOs who are really at C-level, they take directors' liability insurance as well to protect themselves from any kind of lawsuits against them. End of the day, CISOs, though they are paid executives, the accountability for cyber security incident or a data breach lies with the board of directors. But in the scheme of things, no CEO will take responsibility whatsoever be the case may be, whether they didn't have adequate processes, they didn't have adequate budget, but always a CISO is thrown under the bus. So in very advanced economies like United States and Western nations, there is a insurance for top level executives to protect themselves from these kind of unwanted or unnecessary legal issues, and that can actually save the day for them. So that is something I'm not sure how far that would be valid in India, but a lot of discussions and awareness is being built around this.
Thank you.
So I think from a global perspective, so we have come a long way from the attack which happened in SolarWinds.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So from that standpoint, now the modernized or the next gen CISOs are thinking from an assuming the breach has happened. So from that mindset, so that is how we approach the problem. So we think that there are few solutions. I won't quote the vendors, but there are few solutions. In my mind, I call it as BOSS or BAS, which is breach attack simulation. So vendors say it is the BOSS for next. PT and vulnerability management would put together the blue team, the common point between the blue team and the red team. Previously, we used to call it as purple teaming. Now it is called as BAS. So we already are approaching the problem that the breach has happened. So now, how are we going to deal with it? How fast can we recover? How can we reduce the blast radius as soon as possible? And then most probably we are also thinking towards using the power of AI. How can we disrupt the attack in its life cycle or the lateral movement? So that is how the modern CISOs are approaching the problem of implementing due diligence by technology. Thank you.
So I am very lucky. I come from a NBFC. NBFCs in India are regulated by regulated entities like RBI or SEBI. So the biggest advantage is they set up the basic level of hiring a CISO, what is going to be qualification, how do you involve a CISO from a CISO perspective. So the advantage is if you go and read a good article from RBI website, you himself will understand what is the scope of an CISO. So the level of due diligence does not need to be nurtured day to day. It directly starts flowing in your blood once you start working in a compliance-oriented organizations. That's my take.
Great. Now that we are on that page where we are talking about a variety of very critical factors like accountability and things, one thing that comes to my mind is how and if I may just call it by a name, the risk fabric has increased. It has increased multifold. And I have two dimensions that I'd like to bring to your notice. One is, of course, the complexity of the attack surface has increased multifold, and it is not going to stop. It is going to increase more and more, right? Any company which has less than a few million touch points is probably a small company, right? And today it could go into billions and billions and billions of touch points. That's the first part. The second part is the sheer enormity of the data that is being collected. I wonder if anyone here knows that 90% of data collected and stored today has been collected in the last 2 years alone. Surprised? I was. And do you know who is the main contender? One guess. Absolutely, Google. Google has probably the prime amount of that data. And of course, there are other people, Meta and X and everyone else who has their hook into this data. So what is happening here is, it's like a honeypot. Somebody mentioned honeypot in the previous panel discussion. Here the honeypot is different. Data is the new gold, and the amount of gold that is collecting in people's servers is growing. And so do you understand how hackers must feel? Okay, now I have a bigger pot of gold to mine for. So we have two contexts here. One, of course, the complexity of the attack surface is increasing beyond comprehension. And second, the pot of gold attracts all and sundry. Everyone wants their part of that gold, right? This redefines, especially financial institutions, healthcare institutions, armed forces, because their data could be far valuable than simple manufacturing company. So I'll request you to start with your viewpoint first.
You mean to say we need to understand the...
See, how has the size and a change in attack surface, has it affected the financial industry? And, financial industry collects a humongous amount of customer data, right? So has that caused any shift in your organization as far as security practices are concerned, because that will affect the role of CISO as well.
So,
See, RBI is not very quick on the uptake. They have very good norms, no doubt about it. But I think their norms are not quick enough to accept all the changes that are happening simultaneously.
agree. So I want to just quote a statement somewhere I read is the defenders don't collaborate, but the offenders, others, hackers collaborate. So while NBFCs collect a lot of data, but most of the data is owned by them. It's usually owned by their own sourcing partners, or especially coming from different channels. The challenge here is you don't have control of all the data. You are mostly out of data. You are just only managing the data. So the challenge here is to manage the entire thing for a CISO is going to be very, very difficult. The involvement of the entire management is going to be very tough for a CISO, and the entirety of the CISOs managing the data and the entire attack surface management, though maybe there are a lot of tools and technologies, but there is no single pane or pen of tool or a single bullet which can make you pass through the entire security cycle. So it is though people keep saying there's a lot of fatigue tool, there are a lot of issues in managing different solutions, but there is no other option. Today you don't have only one tool which can manage entirety of your data. So the challenge today is the complexity of data, the differentiation, or we don't have one fit and forget kind of a solution where multiple data is being managed by only one solution. So while the data complexity is different, the manageability complexity is also getting more difficult day by day. That's only for the CISO group.
I'd like to go next. So I come from the manufacturing industry. Apart from my current role in the automotive sector, I previously worked for Nissan Motor Corporation for about 5 years. I'm sure you must all know the amount of data, the humongous amount of data is being generated from connected car technology. So today's cars are no longer a mere mechanical and electrical contraption. Today's cars are connected technology. So the kind of data it collects, we almost say they are mobile data centers on wheels, right? And all these vehicles communicate a lot of information with the servers. We have not just a SOC, we have a vehicle SOC as well. And all these car companies, overall, the automotive companies fancy themselves as technology companies which are in the business of building automobiles, right? So today you buy cars or even electric scooters, you get a mobile app, and those apps will be giving you all sorts of data about your drive score based on your driving style and stuff, and also all the GPS coordinates. The amount of analytics it does, and these data is being monetized in Western nations. So considering you and me buy the same car model on the same date, when it comes for renewal in advanced economies, the data is accessed by insurance companies, and they give you a differential price code for you and me, even though the car age is the same. The reason being, considering we both have not put the car into any sort of accidents, but still it will be different based on the drive scores. You could be a very sedate and careful driver, whereas I am a very rash driver. Rash doesn't mean I meet with accident, but I do overspeeding, I do rash turns, sudden brakes. So that kind of monetization they are going by harnessing data. So though we say data is the new oil, there's a very cliched saying, but today it has acquired a new meaning in the era of AI. Data is the new oil and AI is the new oil refinery, which harnesses data, right? So in this kind of scenario, this CISO's job is very tough to see where and all the data is going, mapping the entire data flow diagram in this kind of digital sprawl where customer data is sacrosanct. And last year or so, there was news in the media that all automobile companies have been indicted by investigative journalists they said that name the brand, everyone is listening into customer conversations. So we are all very proud and kind of make it very convenient to use Bluetooth in our Bluetooth mics in our cars. But what they are saying is the mics in the cars are actually listening to private conversations, and that is being analyzed for marketing and other services. So that's very scary, right? Now we don't know what is going to happen with this kind of privacy breach where customer information is being collected illegally without their consent. A strong data governance is a need of the day, but we don't know how far that is going to be implemented.
Maybe I will add from a tech standpoint how this is being managed from my experience. So right now, risk are the data collected from different endpoints or from different business functions. Most of the business functions are trying to create a data lake and then trying to create an unified view of the data. And then with the AI, we are able to implement ML models and then the AI models to gain insights into the data that we are collecting in the data lake. So that is how organizations are creating an converged, unified view of data. So that's the approach which every organization has embarked on. No one, from my knowledge, has completed the journey, and there is a long journey that yet to be covered.
Yeah, actually, that is great because I understand all CISOs realize the importance of data and data privacy and data protection, and every organization is doing something about it. But what I would like to hear from the panel here is, see, CISOs traditionally always have the non-regulation risk, hacking risk, this infiltration, exfiltration risk, which they are managing day to day, all the time. Now today, more and more, we are burdening them with the regulated risk, even things like laws. Every country has its own laws, and especially all the organizations who have offices across the globe have to deal with multiple laws at the same time and satisfy everyone without upsetting anything, right? Automotive industries typically, like Dr. Ram just now said, is being shared by insurance companies who come back to you with a modified quote because you are a good driver or a bad quote for if you are a poor driver. As far as I understand, data privacy laws do not allow data sharing across geographies. Now, as a CISO, this becomes an additional burden on CISOs in the automobile sector, right? So, how are CISOs dealing with this? Because this law alone, like in India, DPDP Act alone, or GDPR, or the Healthcare Act, or HIPAA, or any other banking act, is not the end of the acts. Every company worth its salt, country will definitely create more and more, laws that we will be forced to comply with, especially if we are across multiple geographies, right? So, how are CISOs thinking from a strategic point of view how to deal with, all these laws centrally, because they will continue to evolve?
Yeah. Let me be brief in the interest of time. First is have a unified compliance approach, right? So when you have multiple compliance frameworks to fulfill, it makes immense sense if you have a unified approach, and it should go beyond the typical checkbox compliance checklist, right? So understanding of the compliance requirements by different regulations, different laws, standards is very important. And keeping abreast of the changes in the regulations is also it's an ongoing effort. You have to partner with your DPO or legal compliance teams and be clued in and ensure you do the proper mapping of the compliance requirements and the controls, common controls, so that you implement a control, it will fulfill multiple compliance requirements. That way you optimize your investment in security tools, processes, people, skill set, and also ensure you get a proper return on investment. You have to justify all of this because it doesn't make sense taking a very siloed approach. So that is one important point I thought I will make. And the second important thing is have strategic partnership with all your stakeholders, because to stay compliant is not just one teams, one CISO's function alone. Everyone is a partner in this. You have to work with HR, you have to work with the finance, legal, compliance, maybe facilities and their business units to make this work, right? So that way it is a shared vision and work along with all the stakeholders in a very collaborative, cooperative fashion. So that's my 2 cents on this.
So maybe I will briefly touch upon 2 points. One, even though the regulations are spread across different geographies, I think in a global organization, centralized governance plays a major role, because every geographies will have its own regulations. In many geographies, we have a legal team or a regulatory body which knows the regulations of that specific country much better than a centralized team. So it is about partnering with the local geographies and then governing those regulations with a blended framework which applies and provides a unified governance will play a major role.
Just by attaining a standard like ISO 27001 does not fulfill the entirety of a CISO, as Ram Kumar said, sir. Having the right approach and being more vigilant and monitoring and, as you said, governance, these are all some of the most key points in winning the in the trust of the organization, as well as maintaining that level of your highest level of your compliance towards your organization. That's my take.
What I'm hearing is, and pardon me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing is, we talked about hats, that the CISO's new role will be like something like our famous, Ravan, probably 10 heads. There's a head which deals with legal, there is another one which deals with this, and technology, because technology is a small part now. There are so many other facets that we need to have like a Ravan with 10 heads or 5 heads or whatever, multiple heads, to even run a CISO organization. So am I wrong? Or, I personally think it's too much for an individual to manage. What do you think? Is it right?
Of course, CISO role has evolved from being a technocrat to being a business strategist. So that way, CISO is truly effective only when they take care of all the aspects and facets of cybersecurity, and they have to go beyond technology.
But is that
domain.
even feasible? I mean, we are expecting, all right, we can expect anything. But is it even feasible?
For traditional mindset folks, it's very difficult, but you have to upgrade yourself, step up and take up this role. Some of the best CISOs that I have come across, I work for very unconventional companies. So I used to have that thinking and mindset that CISO means they should come from a strong cybersecurity grounding. But to my surprise, first time when I saw the CISOs reporting into non-security folks, non-information security folks, that was kind of a shocker initially for me. But when I realized what makes them tick, the chief security officer comes from, for example, I used to work for Philips. Our CSO came from non-information security background. To him, CISOs reported, right? So when I looked at what makes them click was their ability to understand business risks and then have that strategy, vision and leadership, program management, people leadership, budgetary control, and have that confidence and trust of the management. That made them click. So our CSO at Philips was Israeli. He came from airport security background. He was a big shot in Schiphol Airport, and that was amazing. So these kind of multiple skill sets, people come from different background, actually makes it work. Not only at Philips, even in Nissan, our CISO came from a non-information security background. So I've seen how people from varied background make things work. They may not understand what is the difference between firewall and IDS, and they may not know the actual technology, but they have a very strong grasp of the business risk and their ability to being an influencer at the board level and get the necessary funding and give the mandate to the CISOs. That makes things happen.
That's interesting. You'd like to add something?
Maybe I will add 2 points to what Ram sir said. One being the CISOs are influencer or maybe the biggest contributor from security team into the board, because right now CISOs has a seat in the board. So business considers security as a business risk. So that gives more privilege for any CISO. Yes, complexity is there, but when we compare to the previous years, CISO has built a team which supports the CISO role. So it's kind of a team sport, security being a team sport, and CISO also needs a team that supports CISO. So that's my take on it.
Great. Manikandan would like to add something.
Thanks for bringing the beautiful Ravan of having 10 heads. Today, CISOs are to be considered as the Jambavans of security. They don't need to be an expert. They don't need to jump across street to go to Sri Lanka, but they need to exactly advise Hanuman, the board, the right time to do the exact jump so that he can reach the exact place.
Great. Now I bring you to the last question of our thing, because I've been told we are almost time out. This has to do, now we have identified that CISO has to be not Ravan but like Jambant to advise the right people. Let me touch on the next touchy thing for the CISOs, people. You know, technically, cybersecurity professionals were supposed to be techies with a degree, a certain amount of certifications, and then we would, you know, say, okay, you have so many years of experience, now you work, so on and so forth. Now things are changing. The entire attack scenarios are changing. AI has come in, and the legal aspects are coming in, adherence to different laws are coming in, accountability is coming in. How are you finding people who are able to fulfill these check boxes, especially youngsters with 4, 5, 2 years experience? And even if you don't find, how are you able to ramp them up into working for your organization so that they all become a part of a cohesive team? I think it's a big challenge.
From my perspective, it's a losing battle, to be frank. We are not able to get the right talent, and people with the right skill set, they act pricey, to be frank. We all know about the cyber security skill set mismatch, skill set shortage. People who are a little smart, they gain some, some expertise. They don't want to work at junior mundane level roles. And companies are also at fault. I will say the blame is on both sides of the table, right? Not just the job seekers or the employees. It's also on the employers. Employers, they just don't understand what the role exactly they are expecting from that candidate, right? They want everything built into that person. They want a Superman or a Superwoman, and they will only pay some 7,000 rupees, but they want Narayan Murthy level skill set. That's a very sorry state of affairs. And also people don't understand the actual job. They just copy paste the JD from somewhere and then put it out. And you don't get people like that. And on the other side, job seekers also, they are very pricey these days. They want sun and the moon. And the amount of money they ask is again driven by their experiences. My cousin is getting.
So how do you deal with that? I mean, you're dealing with not only that, but dealing with new technology, new orientation, new thought process.
For example, AI. We do not have adequate people who can actually handle AI systems, how to do risk assessments. So it's a challenge for us even to hire. And training also is a challenge. We do not have adequate budgets for training. It's always a tug of war with the management to get adequate training on it has to be role-based training. It can't be a one-size-fits-all approach. Right. And retention also is a problem. So today, if I have to keep people, you have to go above and beyond to please them and keep them with all sorts of monetary and non-monetary benefits. And again, if somebody gets a very good jump, there's no way we can retain. However big our brand is, however, it all. I mean, at times I used to think it's due to luck we are having good people. We are having blessed with a good team. Just be happy.
Just be happy with it.
Thanks.
So maybe one approach that we take to deal with this is I 200% agree with what he has mentioned about the challenges. I think the challenge is real, and we are facing talent shortage and as well as retaining people. The one approach which worked for me, because I created a few high performing teams. So identifying the internal talent and then giving them right opportunities for growth has given me a proven methodology or a proven model which worked in my case.
Excellent.
I've been very big failure, especially in people, because it's very been tough for us, especially in financial services, to hang on to people, because it's most a dynamic environment. So people come like that and they fly like that. Just not from cybersecurity, from anywhere, any
Anywhere,
sector,
yes.
anywhere.
Yes.
So I would not even went second with him, I third, fourth, fifth with Ram Kumar sir, is because today I'm just giving an example. A VAPT engineer with 2 years experience is expecting around 15 lakhs of rupees, which is not at all sustainable.
True.
So the challenge is not just only giving them the best of the best salary, the best of the best environment. So my guru used to say, Manikant, whatever salary you give, next 1 rupee he gets more, he will fly off. So today we are just on cusp. That's the right word. Probably we are not able to manage between people and technology and process, because there is a humongous requirement and the availability is very less. So I think it's a big stress, one of the biggest stresses for us CISOs.
Great. I think it requires a very brave man to say you have failed at something, but you haven't. You have trying. So I think it's a CISO's job to keep trying, given the enormous odds. And to me, just like a soldier has to fight against all odds, I think CISOs are internal soldiers who have to fight and protect their organizations. Most of us who are merely users don't even know what is happening and how many attacks were, nullified within a few hours, that we may have just surfed the net or, just accessed a particular information. So CISOs, in my personal opinion, are unsung heroes, and hopefully things will get better, if not worse. So there I would like to, if you are okay, can I invite some questions from the audience? So audience, please, any questions, please address it to the panel.
So, sir, I've observed this a lot of chatter around, especially in the people who are aspiring to be CISOs. And I'll be upfront. Is there any requirement for a particular certification or a particular experience that makes it more approachable as a candidate? Or what would be the most ideal path with somebody with X amount of years of experience? Is that X a bare minimum number? Like, what are the thresholds that when you see in a candidate makes him or her more approachable or more suitable candidate amongst others?
Want me to take first?
So I think there is no template for that from my experience. But what I broadly seen is if someone is aspiring for a CISO, then having the grounding of good cybersecurity experience is a mandate. And then having a broader view on several cybersecurity domains plays a major role. But honestly, if someone is aspiring for a CISO, it is better that someone sticks to that organization for a period of time and then understands the business needs. And then every business is different. BFSI is different. The IT service entity is different, and the automobile entity is different. So knowing the business and then being in that environment gives a different edge for someone who is aspiring to become a CISO in that domain.
I'll add 2 cents of mine. So what's very important is not just the years of experience. I've seen people with the drive and ambition and capability in less than 8 years becoming CISO. But point is, are they having a strategic overview of the business? Can they speak the business language to the management? You speak technical jargon to the management, they will not understand. You may be an expert in your area, but what's important is, can you translate technical risks into business risks and how it affects a business strategy? So that's very important. So if you are aspiring to be a CISO, definitely you should pick up these skills. Very strong grounding in a PG program in management can help you and accelerate your journey towards a management position, though it is not mandatory. But if you really want to structured way you want to do, you can definitely look at a PG program. But a lot of observing how your CISOs work and the way they are able to engage and influence the management, that will give you insights, right? So that is very important rather than any sort of certification. Though there are some certifications, I wouldn't strongly recommend. Rather, if you have an opportunity to look at the study material, that definitely you will gain knowledge. But just because you certified in a leadership program doesn't mean somebody will give you a CISO role, right? So it has to come from you, how ability you are able to connect with the board on security matters or with senior management, that there lies your success.
On a lighter note, after hearing the panel discussion on the challenges CISO face, if you are still interested in becoming a CISO, you are the right guy. So next question, please.
So, what is the, how is the budget for cybersecurity? Like, how has it been? Like, in most organizations, it is all dependent on the business and like business requirements and everything. So, how difficult is for the CISOs to convince on certain technologies? Like now with AI and a lot of new tools, like we use AI for even security, and that adds additional this thing to the budget. So, how difficult it is being for the CISOs to convince the management for those kind of things, like for new investments in cybersecurity? Like,
I'll take this question from a different perspective. Okay, businesses, not only businesses, even personal homes, nobody likes to spend much money unnecessarily. This is a fact. Whether it is for cybersecurity budget, or whether it is you want to buy a new machine for the plant, or you want to hire more people, or you want to build a new factory, all may be logically correct. But trust me, nobody wants to spend money. Primarily because everyone is watching the top line and the bottom line very carefully. Every expenditure is detrimental to the profits. I mean, that is very important things that a lot of us who are technologists, including me, we feel very righteously angry. This is needed. This is needed. That is needed. But businesses don't see it that way. So one of the prime things that we as CISOs must learn is that finally, whatever we request or ask for must make business sense. Sometimes, and this is not me, I'm quoting somebody who said, it is sometimes easier to just pay the ransomware his $2 million than upgrade our XYZ, infrastructure. That would cost like $25 million. So I'm happy to take that loss, and my insurance premium goes up. Okay, I can tolerate it. So ultimately, the business is what makes sense. I don't know if my panelists would like to add to that.
Well, adding to what Sir said, it's definitely the risk-based approach towards budgeting, and that risk should actually make sense. It's not something out of context. You cannot put all the risks and say, I have to fulfill all of them, I want to remediate all of them, so I need the budget. The risk posture, right, has to be in the business context, right? So today, everyone is running behind AI. If your organization has not approached AI, you cannot say everyone is doing, so I want to do. You have to see what is your business context, whether it makes sense for you, what is the ROI you are going to get. So it has to be well thought out and clear business outcomes. So that makes sense. And as Sir said, we are all passionate technologists, and we know clearly black and white. This is a risk and this is a solution, and I need this much dollars. And it doesn't work that way. Management looks at it differently, right? So you always, CISO's role is have to make do with much less. So the point is, how effectively are you going to prioritize your risk? You may have a huge laundry list of risks, but what is the most important must do kind of remediation which business is going to impact strategically? Only those risks you can actually find budget for and implement, right? So that way it is a very tough challenge, and CISO's business case you have to build very strongly, and of course customer mandate or regulations, all of them come into play, right, in building your budget.
So two aspects which I would like to cover on top of what both of them has said. One is risk quantification and then the risk prioritization. In recent days, we are seeing most of the global CISOs adopting FAIR methodology as the risk quantification metrics to come up with the impact statement and the dollar value, associated dollar value. So by that we can give a data-driven story to the board, which signifies the impact of loss that the business is going to incur of not having the right budgets allocated for the security program. So that's my take on it.
Especially answering your thing on AI budget, there are a lot of resources available on the internet which talks about heat map of an AI. Especially if you enterprise level, it's very difficult, but in a vertical, if you can create a heat map, you can easily get a budget. Otherwise, it's very difficult because enterprise-wise, you don't know what is the real approach. But in a vertical-wise, you can do it a small heat map which will really give you a budget.
Very good. Good. So thank you very much for attending this panel, and a round of applause for the esteemed panel.